Truck is the episode that really made me feel that the citizens of San Francisco, among other things that really made the Bears go through so much difficult positions. But the way I see it, when it comes to nature and humans, honestly, when it comes to wildlife, it's really difficult to take wildlife seriously, knowing how, in the position that the Bears are in, it really feels like that wildlife are basically the biggest allies compared to humans. Granted, this show is never about humans versus animals, but if it was the case, then this wouldn't be a slice of life show. After waiting in line, the Bears managed to get their burrito, but after eating it, it's not the best. Especially since that they can't be able to feed food to the wildlife animals, otherwise they would get a $500 fine. After giving the food truck a low rating, as in 1/4 stars, a quarter star, Icebell made calzones, which gave the Bears the idea on selling their calzones to the customers, but unfortunately the customers aren't interested in it. Honestly, the fact that Icebell, who ends up becoming a popular chef in the eyes of many in Losing Ice, and even though I Am Icebell isn't qualified since he wasn't a chef in that episode to express how great he is, even though he had amnesia, it really made me understand onto why Icebell really has these moments from the earlier seasons, and it's honestly weird that I don't remember these moments, judging of how chill Icebell is throughout the majority of the series, because you don't usually see Icebell like this, and it's mainly justifiable judging of how people just don't see him as a great chef. Granted, they do see him as a great chef in Losing Ice, but since that episode wasn't really the best episode and it was poorly executed, truth be told, I'm pretty sure that this should have been the episode that people should see what Icebell really is. But at the same time, with this being one of the first episodes of We Bare Bears, it's really obvious that the first episodes needs to start somewhere when it comes to these characters, especially with the introductions of Num Num, Chloe, and Lucy, who appeared in the first 5 episodes. With this calzones business not working out for the Bears, and this leads to the animals having calzones that they also had money after stealing money and getting money from the ATM or something like that. Honestly, no matter what happens towards the animals, it's mainly in the point of view of the humans to think that something bad would happen to them. But at the end of the day, considering that the animals don't get anything horrible in their digestive systems after this episode, it really feels like the Bears' solution on selling their food to the animals is literally the only solution. And to be honest, if they didn't have to go through this whole fine situation involving wildlife, then they would have made enough money. But apparently there has to be a wallet block to block their way from getting money, even though it makes me question onto how they pay the bills and whatnot inside their cave. I'll be the first to admit though, watching this episode, if I had the ability to watch it when this show was brand new back then, maybe I wouldn't be able to look at this episode as it is right now. Because, truth be told, me revisiting the movie could be an indication of how these episodes really made the movie different in my point of view, since I watched that movie before watching all the episodes from this show. My point is that whenever I look at the animals in this show, since this is also before we get the introduction of Charlie, it really gave me the impression that, despite being part of wildlife, it's really difficult to see the danger in animals in comparison to the Bears, because with the Bears having the ability to talk and do things of what humans can do, and it may be a counter argument towards the animals since that they can't do any of those things, it really gave me an understanding that the animals would be part of wildlife, but at the same time, they're also in the same position as the Bales, except that they're not on the IQ level of Bales, as in mainly talking and basically what I've just mentioned. It did lead to the animals wreaking havoc involving the other food trucks, to the point that it disturbs the other humans, which is another sign of preventing wildlife from getting fed, but at the same time, I can't be able to side with the humans, especially the people who are wanting the trucks, when one of those people who own the food trucks have spent a life inside the food truck, which would have been justifiable, but judging of how I can't be able to take them seriously for how unamused these human characters are, and in some cases, in some episodes, they're mainly used for plot devices at most. It made me see the world building in the show a little bit more differently when it comes to the point of view of humans that aren't siding with the Bales, as in friends and whatnot. Granted, they don't deserve any of this, and the punishment that the Bales get towards the end is justifiable, but at the end of the day, looking through these episodes, especially this, since I haven't watched this episode as much as the other episodes, it made me see that it's difficult to sympathize with them more, especially with how the show has concluded, and revisiting this episode would obviously not give you the same impressions upon watching this episode for the first time. And for me personally, revisiting this episode really shows how weakly aged this episode is. Granted, in comparison to the first episode, it's somewhat different when it comes to how the characters are portrayed, since the main motivation of the first episode is the Bales trying to find their stuff, and in this, it's mainly just trying to get some money of some sorts. I really feel like that the source of money in this is supposed to be important, but at the end of the day, it also showcases of how much that the capitalism in this world just feels a little non-existent, especially when it comes to rich people like Num Num. Granted, that's a different story when it comes to his life compared to the Bales, but still. If I didn't make the choice of including this show as part of this ×3 marathon, I would have less to say about this show by skipping this episode. Like, me reviewing all these episodes wasn't really part of the old strategy, but then again, I really feel like that these episodes would probably be requested some point in the future if some of you guys really wanted me to review more of this show if I never did this marathon in the first place. If it wasn't obvious, some of these episodes are less appealing, judging the fact that they wouldn't be the ones to pick if I did another We Bare Bears month. And since the We Bare Bears month I did nearly 5 years ago had episodes that I really wanted to talk about, truth be told, this marathon will get less exciting, but there are still some good episodes here and there. I am gonna try to make this marathon as good as possible as Quake of the Creek and OKKO marathon, but then again, OKKO episodes have some quotes when it comes to one of the first episodes. It's still my goal to wrap up We Bare Bears by any means necessary, even though this marathon isn't going to be on par with Quake of the Creek and OKKO's marathons. I'm just saying, with this being the third upload per day when it comes to reviews, it's really obvious that I am gonna try my best to make this marathon as exciting by reviewing what's left, and that's mainly what I have to express when it comes to the episodes that I've seen from this show. I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10.